Boom. All right. Kind of got a slick back look going here now. All right. Let's do the 3, 2, 1 action.
All right.
Let's go. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, action.
What are the 4 steps of accountability? The 4 steps of accountability is the mechanism through which you're going to convey to your team all of the conditions that are necessary for the team to be accomplished in basically everything that you're trying to do. In a previous video, we talked about creating a context for accountability that is basically positive in nature. In other words, instead of thinking about accountability as enforcing what someone was supposed to have done after there's a problem, we want to get on the front end of that and create conditions so that problems don't occur. So instead of thinking about accountability like what went wrong, whose fault is it, who has to pay the price, we want to eliminate that thinking and come from the perspective of I'm a leader, you're my teammate, how can I set you up to win so that you know exactly what to do, exactly how to do it, why to do it, when to do it, and then I'm following through with you to cause you to be successful. This is what we're out to accomplish with these 4 steps. You can almost think of this as the machinery of your business or the machinery of operations. Like you see here in the 4 dimensions, that you've developed trust, communication, accountability, problem solving. We're right here in the machinery of creating results. So let's get into the 4 steps one by one. So first of all, if you think about what does it really take to create conditions for accountability, conditions for success, what is the first thing you think you need to tell your teammate or create for your teammate? Right? Even if you do some research about accountability, how do you hold someone accountable? How do you create accountability? I guarantee you're going to come up with this first step. All right? Think about what it could be. I'll show you. So the first step is going to be clear expectations. Right? Clear expectations. If the person that you're leading doesn't know what's expected of them, how can you hold them accountable for it? It has to be super clear what they're supposed to do. And you have to think about, well, just because I know what I'm expecting, is it clear to them what I'm expecting? So when you ask someone to do something, it's important that you actually know that they've received that. And that will become more apparent as your relationship deepens. But especially with a new employee, you want to be very careful that the expectation you laid out is really understood by them. In the next video, I'm actually going to go a little deeper and illustrate each of these points. I'll give you some stories to clarify what exactly I mean. But in an intuitive sense, just kind of come from the perspective of this other person needs to know essentially what we're doing, right? So number 1 of the 4 steps, clear expectations. The what. What are we doing? Second step, authentic. I call it authentic alignment. Okay? And this is the why. Like, why are we doing this? And you got to think to yourself as a leader, like, why does it matter that I tell my teammate why we're doing what we're doing? Isn't it enough for me to just tell them what to do? And I have to make a distinction here. In my view, just telling someone what to do is really a function of management, where you're kind of, working on a process. You're just executing a program or a process, but you're not actually leading people. And that's what I see as a difference between leading and managing. You see, management's about process. Leadership's about people. Management's about making sure something happens. Leadership's about empowering people that they actually want to show up as their best self to make it happen. And that's why alignment really matters. We traditionally call this buy-in. Why are we doing what we're doing? It's very important. And again, in the next video, I'll go deeper, give you some illustrations and stories to distinguish how do you get to alignment. So first step, clear expectations. What are we doing? Second step, authentic alignment. Why are we doing it? Okay, what's the third step? Think about this, right? What would be the next thing someone needs to know? I call this definite execution. Okay? Definite execution, which really addresses the how. Okay? So that your teammate knows what to do, they know why to do it, but do they know how to do it? And remember, your job as a leader is to cause success through others. So what we're trying to do with each of these steps is to eliminate the possibilities of failure or to minimize them as much as possible. So on the one hand, your teammate might know what to do and they might want to do it. They know why, okay? But do they really know how to execute? And as a leader, it's important for you to set them up to win. Make sure they know the process involved. Make sure they have an understanding of the equipment involved. Make sure they have the support they need. And again, we'll go a little bit deeper in the next video, but intuitively, you can kind of see how you're setting your team up to be successful by doing this. Now, what would be the fourth point? I just call this essentially absolute follow through. Okay? Which has to do with what? What, why, how, and essentially use it in intuitive sense. When? When are we doing it? The by when, right? So once you've set your teammate up to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, it's really important as a leader for you to follow up. And I think this is an important point to make a distinction in. When you follow up, I want you to be thinking about how do I follow up before the delivery date so that I can empower my teammate and I can give the support needed or give the resources needed. You see, if you only follow up after the due date, okay, the report was due Thursday at 5 and you follow up Friday at 9 a.m., did you do it or not? Well, it doesn't give them much of a chance to be successful. You're basically enforcing accountability at that point. You're enforcing what you wanted to have happen, but you're not empowering your teammate to cause it to happen. So your follow-up really needs to happen before things are due. You want to follow up maybe on Wednesday at 3 and say, look, this thing's due tomorrow at 5. Do you need any support? Do you have what you need? How far along are you? What issues are you coming up with? And what you're going to notice as you study this whole system of the leadership space as the background, and the 4 dimensions of teamwork, you're going to realize that your relationship with your employee or your teammate is going to be very important in terms of your follow-up to give the support you need. That's why all of these work together. All these dimensions work together, as you'll see through the whole video series. Bottom line, though, is you want to set people up to win, follow up before things are due, give them the resources they need. And if you follow this system, you're going to find that you've set your team up with the conditions for success. And that is how you create accountability. All right. I think I might have got that one.